Alright, so I'm gonna run through some of the parts here on the engine that I needed to get this thing running and to get it to this point here, to what you're looking at. So as far as the engine goes, the engine itself was, I broke it down completely all the way to the block. I painted that. And as far as the accessories drive, this whole front accessories drive is made by this company called Dirty Dingo. They have quite a bit of options for parts on LS swaps and now the Gen 5 LT swaps. So this front accessories drive is made to use a Gen 4 LS water pump. And the water pump itself, starting with that. So the water pump needs some adapters. They're also made by Dirty Dingo Motorsports to adapt the Gen 4 water pump to the Gen 5 engine block. And they are those adapters right there that you see where the temperature sensor is at. And it's just to mate the two and to center the water pump to run this accessories drive. Typically on a Gen 5, well actually on all the Gen 5s, everything, the water pump is all offset to the side. So these adapters allow you to center the water pump and to run a Gen 4 Corvette water pump. And then it also comes with instructions to move some of the wiring that's right behind that water pump. It's real easy, very basic. You just pretty much have to turn them to make sure they clear the water pump. And they sell two kinds of brackets for these engines for two different kind of power steering pumps. So I opted for the old style power steering pump. This pump is actually, there it is there. It's actually off of a mid-90s Chevrolet Silverado. It bolts right up to there. The second option they have for this same accessories bracket is the one that has a separate reservoir for the power steering. And the only reason I didn't go with that is because I didn't want more clutter. So that one seems to be working fine. I was able to find a billet pulley for it, which came out pretty good. I like it. Let me see what else. You don't have to have a AC bracket, but I mean it's optional. I do want to run AC on this car, so I went ahead and got the bracket. And this one calls for this is a Sandin 508. It does have options for different style AC compressors, but I like this style here. They're pretty good. And as far as the air intake goes, this is off of a Silverado 2014 to 2018 Silverado. They sell these in a raw finish. I got these powder coated. Everything fit. It comes with the filter, the box, and the pipe itself. I did get different. I got silicone couplers with turbo clamps. I like these a lot better. And I did the same over here. I got a silicone coupler with the turbo clamps. The only thing I had to do on the box here was I had to trim the top of it. It was a little bit too high. I cut about 1 inch off, and I'm thinking I might have to cut just a little bit more so it can clear the hood, because it's almost level. And for the harness on the engine, I'm running a standalone harness. This harness, I got it from standaloneharness.com, and I got their, you can see their website right there. That's the relay box. They're out of Melbourne, Florida. I bought this engine about 2 years ago, and I was reading a lot on Gen 5 swaps, and at the time, people were talking about, different fuel systems, this and that. And one reason I went with these guys is because they were able to run these engines with just the same setup you would do in an LS swap. Just a wall roll pump, Corvette regulator, and run that straight to your engine. So I thought that was pretty easy. The only thing I would have liked was for the computer to mount under the dash, but I'm pretty happy of where it's at and how I was able to run it, because really the only thing you see in here wiring wise with the computer is this wire right here. That's not a big deal. Now as far as the headers go, these fit pretty good. They're made by Speed Engineering. I actually had to buy 2 sets of headers for this swap. The first ones, they were okay. They were actually out of the LT1 Camaro, but I was having just a small issue with them hitting the frame right here, and these are actually not meant for this swap, and I just figured I'd try them out, and they ended up working pretty good. And they came with the collectors already with the O2 bung. So the collector and the header are just held on by this turbo clamp, and it already had the bung for the oxygen sensor, which made it a lot easier for my application. So that worked out really well. And transmission wise, I'm running a 6080, which came with this motor. So for the motor mounts, and I'm gonna put part numbers for all this stuff in the descriptions. So for the motor mounts, I also have Dirty Dingo sliders. So they allow for adjustment, front and back, quite a bit of adjustment actually. So I would recommend test fitting everything before you go and paint or powder coat anything. I did try on the body before paint. I test fitted everything, the engine, the body, everything, so I can adjust, how I can adjust the position of the engine. So my biggest thing was just getting clearance from the firewall, to the back of the motor to where I had enough room for the harness and the fuel line and this here transmission dipstick. That transmission dipstick is made by Low Car. It is for a 6080. They sell a number of things for these transmissions, and they're really good, man. I really like Low Car. They make good stuff. So engine mounts, Dirty Dingo sliders, accessories bracket from Dirty Dingo, and I have one other accessory from Dirty Dingo. What is it? Oh, it's actually for the PCM. So they make a flush mount thing for the PCM. You can probably, yeah, here it is. So it's these two pieces, and I guess the PCM is kind of sandwiched in between, and it allows for a flush mount. And man, that's a really nice piece, and it's fairly reasonable. It's not expensive at all, and as you can see, it has these holes at each end. There's 4 of them for you to bolt it on to wherever you figure it's best for you and your application. So in my case, the fender well worked out perfect. So I actually need to make some holes to completely mount that to the fender well. Let me see what else on the alternator. It allows for a large case or a small case. I went with the large case. This is actually out of a Gen 4 LS alternator, and this is a 2-pin. So they sell these harnesses with 2-pin, which is just 2 wires. So you got to be careful because a lot of these are also 4-pin. So that's something to look out for. Let me see, what else can I give part wise for the swap? I guess the transmission mount, I'm gonna have to get under there to show y'all. It's kind of bent like in a U shape. It's a tubular cross mount, tubular transmission mount. Let me get down there. It's made by Bowtie Overdrive. There it is. So you can see it's in a U shape. It does come with the bushing in the middle, the transmission bushing. I went and found one that was chrome and red from Energy Suspension, so I just went ahead and bought that one. I did the same for the front as well. I got this one chrome plated. They don't come in chrome. They just come, I believe it was powder coated when I got it. I think black. They should sell them in also a raw finish. The only thing I don't like right now is how low this transmission pan sits. It's from what I was reading, I'm thinking I can use one off of a CTSV or possibly a Camaro. They're supposed to be a lot more shallow. So this one hangs down quite a bit. So the other one should come down. It should be pretty much flush with this. So I'll probably be changing that in the future. And if I do find that it works, I'm gonna go ahead and chrome plate it and then install it on here. So here are the motor mounts. They're made by, again, Dirty Dingo sliders, is what they're called. They bolt onto the block, and then from the block it bolts onto the factory motor mount. see that a little bit better. They work really good. As you can see, they have a lot of room for adjustment to slide forward and back, you know, and you can just set it wherever you need it. So they work out really well. One thing that you do have to know if you're doing a Gen 5 swap on a X-frame, I did use the factory motor mounts, but they're not in the factory position because this engine is a little bit wider than the typical small block as far as the mounts go. So I actually had to drill out 4 new holes and move the motor mounts out. I don't remember the exact measurement. I would say it was about 1 inch on each side. So I test fitted all that. Excuse me. I test fitted all that before I painted and powder coated anything. It was really important because you know, if I would have just gone with the factory holes, this thing, it wouldn't have fit, and that's obviously a problem. So I welded up the factory holes, and I had to drill some new holes in. So that's really important. You can't just put a motor in with these factory in a factory location. It won't fit. So that's really important right there. And as far as the oil pan goes, I went with the Holley oil pan. And as you can see, there's a lot of clearance between the oil pan and the cross member here. That was a really nice piece. That was actually one of the first pieces that I bought for the swap, and Holley was the only one making it at the time. So I'll put up that part number as well. It worked really good. The fitment on it was perfect. So now I'm seeing that they actually have them polished, which would have been a lot better, but I'm happy with that. So I wanted to share with you guys the stuff that I used to paint my engine and the transmission. This stuff works really well. It has really good reviews, and it's made by Eastwood. I guess my favorite thing about this is that it doesn't require primer. It goes straight to the block. The only thing it does require is that you clean the mess out of whatever you paint with it. So everything has to be super duper clean and no primer, and it works on really well. As you can see, it says that you can brush it on, which I don't know if I would ever do that, but it seems a lot easier just to spray it. But here it is, high temp ceramic engine paint. They come in an array of colors. This one just happened to be pretty close to the red on my car, so good stuff. I recommend it. All right, guys, I really try my best to keep these videos short, but I can't because it's too much information that took me months to put together to try to put in a short video. So I know some of these videos are kind of long, but I'll try my best to keep them shorter next time. I'm gonna put all the part numbers of everything that I talked about to swap this thing in here in the descriptions. If I missed anything, or if you guys have any questions, just hit me up in the comments and I'll try my best to answer you guys' questions. But that's pretty much a wrap for this. And it sounds good. I just need to get the exhaust done and finish up the brakes, and then work on the last pieces to get painted trunk, hood, which I have been working on. So it's coming together. I appreciate everybody's comments, and I thank everybody for subscribing. So that's a wrap for this video, and I'll catch you on the next one.